this weekend.
It's gonna turn his radio off.
That'll be a challenge.
Yeah. Sign language from the top of the grandstand.
So with that, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started, I suppose. I mean, it's late at night. We just got done with a BS race. Colin seemed to enjoy himself.
Jesse, stop deep throating your mic.
What are you doing?
Mute yourself when you're not talking.
Push to talk. Hey, you know what? Jimmy Johnson has a problem this weekend. We know what happened.
Jesse had an asthma attack on the spotter stand.
Yeah. I guess the secret's out. Tonight we got with us Jesse Vaughan, and we got Colin Garrett with us. If you guys want to go ahead and give yourselves an introduction. Thank you guys for joining us. I know this is kind of a spur of the moment thing, but we are glad to have you guys with us here on Mission Brief. How y'all doing tonight?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good.
So Colin, who the hell are you?
I'm Colin Garrett. Who are you?
I asked you first. Go. They know me.
Okay. I'm Colin Garrett. I drive things fast sometimes, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Real life racing driver. You've got experience in Xfinity. You've got experience in what? TCRs?
I got experience in Xfinity trucks, K&N, late models, TC cars, GT4, basically whatever that's not the top of the whatever, spectrum. So yeah, it's been fun.
So if I ever say Colin Garrett, I jealously hate this guy. That's the guy you're talking about right there.
Colin's selling himself short a little bit. He also is the founder of 1111 Veteran Project.
Bingo! There we go.
There we go.
Our sponsor, founder 1111.
Yep. So, obviously, been doing that for the last few years. My brother Brian White and I have been working on growing that project a little bit, and trying to promote the free services of all the companies that we work with. Race for Heroes, the Rosie Network. Basically everybody. Tech for Troops. It's a slew of companies that we've been working with, and not a lot of people know what they do. So we've been trying to push that out, and Ian Ogden has been along for the ride here pretty much the whole time. So yeah. So.
We've noticed that in photos.
Yeah, he just always seems to be in the background.
He's that creeper in the background with the goatee.
Yeah. Like, I remember him being there, but he's always like in the background of that one picture. So.
Have you guys known each other? How long have y'all known each other?
4 years, right? Something like that.
Yeah, almost 5.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Time to start buying Valentine's Day gifts for each other.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think
what were you, Colin? What were you racing in 2018?
Late models in K&N.
Yeah, it was in 2018, so it has been literally almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Because it's February, so of 23, so literally almost 5 years. That's wild. Knew Colin when he was, 17, 18?
Yeah, just a wee lad.
And you're like the creepy 30-year-old checking him out in the racetrack.
Yeah.
Follow me around. I was like, who loves this guy?
Yeah, and now we talk to each other every day, so that's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not judging much. We also got Jesse Vaughan with us tonight, man. Jesse, wonderful to meet you, man. It was good racing with you tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people that actually do listen to us. We are growing. We're still low, but we're growing. Would love to hear from you.
Yeah, so Jesse Vaughan, spotter. Actually, that's how I met Colin. I was spotting for him in the K&N series a little bit when he was running for Sam Hunt, and we've been friends ever since. Anytime we can hook up and I can spot for him, whether it's late model or whatever it is. I'll try and jump on the radio for him and spot for him. But aside from Colin, I'll be spotting for Jimmy Johnson this year with Legacy Motorsport or Motor Club. Sorry, I got used to saying that. So our first race will be this weekend, obviously with Daytona, and then we'll do a few more races that have not been announced yet. And then I work with Sam Hunt Racing still. I've been with Sam since he was probably 15, so when he was running late models and K&N and stuff like that. So I'll do all his non-companion stuff and all their road courses, and I'll also this year I will be with GMS on the truck side doing their non-companions and road courses, where I've been with the last 2 years. I was with Front Row on the Cup side and KBM. So spotted for Chandler Smith the last 2 years, and Anthony Alfredo and Todd Gilliland the last 2 years on the Cup side. But yeah, it'd be cool to have the same drivers in the seats for every car I spot for this year, with Kaz Gralla and Sam's car, Raja in the truck, and then obviously Jimmie on the Cup side. So I'll head down to Charlotte tomorrow. I live near Ian, so I'm in the Richmond area, a couple hour and a half from Colin. But I'll head down to Mooresville tomorrow, go by the Legacy shop, meet everybody, kind of in person, and then we fly out Wednesday morning and start everything at Daytona.
See, this guy, we need to get this guy a T-shirt so he can wear it around there, down there. One of the new Mission T-shirts.
Right. Hey, that's very cool, Jesse.
Yeah.
We appreciate you joining us, Colin. Of course, we appreciate everything you're doing for us. You guys are really helping us out. It's great to have you guys here tonight. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I've had fun racing with y'all. It's been
it's been a blast. That was probably my least favorite truck race that we've done so far. It was terrible, and I complained the whole time, but I had fun.
Hey, I gotta agree with you on the terrible part.
Yeah. Hey man, I got up to third, and then I just kind of wrecked myself. But
I was trying to get you in the heat race, but I just didn't want to dump you. I had the position, I just couldn't get the run.
I was just trying to keep her straight. I had no idea what I was doing, so I couldn't believe I was up front. So
don't dump the boss.
I thought about sending his ass.
Colin, how did you get your start in racing, bud?
I don't know. I just always loved it, and NASCAR lowered the age to 14. See, originally when I was like 11, tried to get my dad to buy a late model, which was like the dumbest thing ever. I was naive. I didn't know anything, and I did just absolutely no clue at all. And then NASCAR ended up changing the age to 14 a few years later, and I was like, well, let me see about like running a pure stock maybe. That seems like the entry class at South Austin. So I texted one of my buddies that worked for a team there, and he was like, "Oh, I know this guy that's selling a car," and I begged my dad to go look at it, and he was no interest whatsoever in going to look at it. And my mom was like, "Well, why don't you just like go see it and whatever, like just let him have his thing." And he ended up buying it, and he's been like all in ever since. So it was
That's
not
cool.
what he was wanting, but yeah. So that's kind of how it started, and it was a terrible car. It had an absolutely no motor. We had to completely rebuild it immediately, which is kind of how I got hooked up with Peyton Sellers and all the Sellers Racing guys over there. We went in there with the car and basically like help us, and I've been there ever since, running late models with them for it's 2016 to now. So yeah, it's cool, and they've been with me basically every part of the journey. And then it's cool to carry the Sellers banner off into whatever I do now. Peyton still comes to the races and stuff, and he was at the touring car races last year at VIR, and we see each other all the time. So he's a good friend, and yeah.
Do you still have that old car, the first one?
Yeah, that's the thing that Ian ran this past year.
Son of a bitch! I was gonna say I want it. I'll take it.
Yeah, well, it's been sitting in my garage since 2015 doing nothing. And I was sitting at my kitchen counter on the end stool. I can remember this very vividly. I was eating lunch, and I was like, I'd just been in my shop, and I was like, I need to get rid of this thing. It's in the way. It's just sitting here. It hasn't ran since 2016 when we were doing donuts out in our field and stuff, just having fun. And Ian texted me. He's like, "Man, I don't have a ride for this year. Something fell through for him." So I was like, "Why don't you come run this thing?" And sure enough, he came, and we put a battery in it. We changed the oil and stuff, and it fired right up. Basically, I was super happy about that. And here we are. We're gonna try to run it a few more times this year and see what we can do.
Is that
I still need a credit card.
Is that the one you got the
Yeah,
engine for, you?
What's that?
Is that the one you got the engine for?
No, that's my dirt car.
Dude,
Okay.
If we can put that engine in that, we'll be winning every race.
Right. And then, Colin, what are you doing next month, bud?
What am I doing next month? I'm going to Sonoma.
What else are you doing next month?
Oh yeah, I'm going to Alabama for the Rattler. So the Rattler 250. So going to go do
Maybe his
that.
Valentine's gift should be a calendar, Ian.
Right?
I've got it all in my notes. I think
His
calendars.
iPhone.
I feel like
his iPhone notes are struggling.
Ian's become his secretary.
Well,
Yeah.
if you haven't noticed, we can talk about that too. In the last couple weeks, it's been official, I guess, now that I'm working, directly for 1111 Veteran Project. I mean, still in the volunteer status, but actually as a logistics person for them, working with Colin and the team, working on travel plans and stuff like that. Any race day activities, making sure Colin's where he needs to be, make
I
sure
don't
he
like
wakes up on time,
Well,
and making sure he gets to the track, and all that fun stuff. So
I saw something else iRacing related that you guys are doing too. You guys got anything going on in your new league that you're putting together?
not yet. We'll probably start that next month. Really. I think
that was an idea. Late at night, I was sitting there and I was like, I'm bored. I want to run something tomorrow. And then we are like, well, why don't we start a league? That was kind of my thing. And I was super naive. I was like, why don't we just run tomorrow? And he was like, this is not how this works. I was like, oh. Okay.
I mean, we listen.
It takes time.
We've got 26 people in the Discord.
Oh, well, let's run tomorrow. What are we doing?
Well, it's a Tuesday night league, so I mean, I guess we could, but I'd like to give people a little bit of notice. I mean, we got 26.
Work goes off during the day at work. I think they'll have enough notice.
Yeah, right. We got 26 guys in there. They're all, invited in. It's not. We haven't recruited anybody from outside. It's all people we've raced with, so it should be halfway decent.
Yeah, I'm there.
And then Jesse, I guess if you want to go over your kind of early days of Southside Speedway.
Yeah, so I grew up around racing. My dad was a tire changer in the Cup Series and the Busch Series in the 90s and 2000s, but before that, he was a crew member out at Southside with Shane Lockhart and Eddie Johnson, and so I've been going out to Southside since late 80s as a kid, and then as I got older, I would start going out there and helping him out, whether it was doing tires, which I did tires for late model K&N teams, or just being a general gopher. But we were at Martinsville probably 2010 maybe for the big late model race, and we were short-handed on help, and my dad would normally spot, but he needed to be in the garage, so he handed me a radio and said, you need to go up and spot practice. Like, okay. So, I'd listened to him before, but I'd never really done it. But spotted practice, and then we didn't wreck, and the driver was happy. So, came back the next season. I spotted some for Shane when my dad wasn't there, or Eddie or Chris Johnson at Southside, and kind of went from there. But after doing it for a couple of years and just kind of getting my name out there and meeting people, the Southern Modified Tour, which is obviously defunct now, but they were coming to Langley, and C.E. Falk, who's a buddy of mine and raced the late models against us and Colin, he called me, and George Bunhosel III needed a spotter for the Langley race, so I ended up going down there and doing that for him. I did 2 races for Georgie that year, because that's the same year Freddie Kraft started helping Bubba Wallace. So I kind of slid in and took over for Freddie when he moved up. Spotted for Georgie for 3 years, I think. We finished second in the points every time. Won a few races. We won at Langley, South Boston. We won at Charlotte. So I've technically got a win at Charlotte. And then just kept networking. I stuck with Sam, so I helped, with the K&N side of stuff and with Colin driving. And then as Sam moved up, I moved up with him, networked that way through Xfinity, truck, Cup, just doing all the road courses and stuff. And I became friends with a few of the guys on the roof that are from Sundays, like Chris Lambert and Chris Osborne, and I would be their secondary guy. I would just do their road course stuff, help them out, and it's gotten to the point now where anything Lambert does, I'm his second guy. So I'm either his secondary person on a road course, or I do his non-companion trucks and cars. So if Cup is somewhere one weekend and Xfinity and trucks elsewhere, I go with the truck or Xfinity team and I spot the car. And I'm at the point now with Sam where I'm in control, and I plan out all the the spotter teams for the road courses. So we have 2 cars this year full time. So I had to get spotter teams set up, hired everybody for the entire season. I get that all laid out and get everybody's stuff together. So I'm kind of like the logistics guy for that side of the team. But outside of NASCAR, I spot for Andretti Autosport at the Indy 500 every year. So I've spotted for James Hinchcliffe, Romain Grosjean, and I'll be back again this year with Romain for his second year. But aside from that, I'll do the occasional local track, Dominion or Langley or South Boston, some of my calls, or if Colin runs somewhere and I'm close, I'll run down and spot for him, just a one-off deal. But I work full time outside of racing, so the part-time schedule Jimmie's running and the road courses kind of fits my schedule pretty well because I'm not committed to 30 some weekends every year.
I was gonna say, how's the pressure taking on spotting for Jimmie Johnson, the guy that's retired from NASCAR, 7-time champion? He comes back and is a new owner? What, he's got majority ownership now? Yeah. How'd that pan out for him? I don't remember, but how are you handling that pressure?
So I think he essentially just kind of bought Richard's portion of the team, bought into it. And if you look on our website now, it says team ambassador Richard Petty and owners Maury Gallagher and Jimmie Johnson. So I think he just kind of took over Richard's portion. But I don't think it'll hit me until we see what we throw down on Wednesday night in qualifying. Because if we're one of the fastest 2 open teams, we're locked in, which means Thursday will be more or less a test session for all of us, and especially me and Jimmie on the radio. But I FaceTimed with him once back in December when they interviewed me for the gig, and aside from that, I haven't spoken to him or met him in person, and hopefully we can take care of that tomorrow when I go down. But Todd Gordon is our crew chief this year. He and I have had quite a few conversations. Yeah, he and I have had quite a few conversations, and we talked on the phone last week for about 30 minutes, just kind of feeling each other out. His resume is
that's a smart pick.
Yeah,
Todd
yeah.
Gordon.
He's like I said, his resume kind of speaks for himself, but he's also well respected in the garage, where he can take a group like us, which is basically going to be just random people that this isn't a team we're going to be running all year. These are the guys that he and Joey at Legacy kind of handpicked and put together. So the pressure is there. It's there no matter what. But I think if we can qualify well on Wednesday, we'll be good. And then, like Todd said to me last week on the phone, if we make it into the race on Sunday, then all the hard work's done. We're not supposed to be there. We're not racing for a championship points. We're there to try and get Jimmie his 84th win, and if nothing else, help Noah and Eric, possibly win a 500 or better that program. But I know most of the guys up on the roof on Sundays. I'm the part-time guy. They know me for the most part, but I'm not supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Like this isn't
odd man out.
This isn't the next thing in my progression of gigs. But like I told him, I'm not going to say no to it. But ever since I always watch film and listen to audio and stuff. But since they first called me in December, I've studied film every day. I've asked a million questions to Lambert and Chris Osborne and Freddie, and just picking everybody's brain, Big Earl. So I think I'm as ready as I'm gonna be. I'll have the ARCA car to practice with beginning part of the week. I'm spotting for Spencer Boyd in the Truck Series Friday night, so I'm getting as many reps as I can spotting plate racing anyway. It's just going to be adapting to what Jimmie wants on the radio. So I'm looking at it as, there are other guys ahead of me with the experience level that they could have used. They could have signed on for the year, but they're taking a chance on me. That guys have vouched for me and, kind of stuck their neck out for me and said, this is the guy that needs the opportunity. So I'm going in feet first. I know what my job is this week. When I'm not on the radio, I'm going to be in the garage as much as I can with the guys, asking questions to the team and absorbing as much as I can, and just taking mental notes every single time one of the cars is on the racetrack. So it'll be it'll be a challenge. I mean, it's we've got to be better than 4 other people come Wednesday and Thursday. So once we get through that, it'll be smooth sailing, I hope.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool, Jesse. Hey, I got one question real quick, Ian, before we move on.
Well, I just wanted to tell him not to forget that sweet iRacing practice he got in the Daytona 500 the other night.
Oh God.
I did the entire race. I spotted for Ian up until we got wrecked with like 10 to go, and then I spotted for Chris on the last restart. We went from 20th to 6th, I think.
Yeah, that was cool. I heard a little bit of your spotting at the beginning, and it's neat to hear that. So you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but all these different drivers you spot for, do they each like different information? And like, is it spotting for, Jimmie? I guess the first practice or first qualifying race is really going to be your first shot to figure out exactly what he wants to hear from you, right? I mean, I assume every driver would be different on what they want.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I can adapt well to what a driver wants. I worked with Rev Racing for a number of years, so I spotted for drivers that were new to the English language. I spotted for drivers that didn't have their driver's license yet, and I've also spotted for guys that have been doing this longer than I've been alive too.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So I mean, I feel like I can adapt to whoever. If I'm going from Brayton Laster in the ARCA car, which this will only be his third ARCA start, second time at Daytona. He wants as much information as I can possibly feed him. I mean, I'm going to end up going through a couple batteries with him because he just wants constant information. And then you have a guy like Eddie Johnson, who he just needs to be cleared. He just needs to be kept abreast of what's going on. So it's not bad. And when I first talked to Jimmie the first time, he's had Earl Barbin in his ear for years,
long time.
decades. So that was one of the first things I told him was, I'm gonna understand your apprehension to anything I say because it's a different voice in your ear, but I'm also not gonna get my feelings hurt if I'm doing it a certain way and he tells me to change it. That's my job. I'm supposed to do it that way.
Right.
Colin and I've spotted for Colin where things are going great and we're laughing under caution. I've also been with him when the car is not where it's supposed to be and stuff's going haywire, and I'm there to I'm there to be the punching bag, really. I'm the only person he has to talk to, essentially. So, if you're gonna get your feelings hurt, being the spotter is not gonna be what you're gonna be good at. You have to be able to take it and then calm the person down or talk them off the ledge, or if something happens and they're getting ready to destroy a race car to pay somebody back, and you gotta kind of get in their head and calm them down a little bit. So every driver I've spotted for is different, but I feel like I can adapt to whatever they need.
Yeah, it's very cool, man. It's really neat hearing the kind of the background of that stuff. Something I've been watching NASCAR, damn near my whole life, and this is just a kind of thing that I've never really got a grasp of. So it's kind of neat to hear.
Has Jimmie taken to the car very well?
I mean, I talked to Todd after the Phoenix test, and he seemed to be pretty confident in it. Jimmie was given a lot of feedback, a lot of detailed information, which is good. I've worked with drivers where you have to tell them what they're feeling in the car. A kid that's never really driven a whole lot or doesn't have a whole lot of experience in equipment that you have to work on will just say, hey, it's free. Like, all right, where is it free? Is it free on landing? Is it free under power? Is it free? But listening to Todd, talking to him, Jimmie was very detailed on what the car was doing, what he think it needed, what he could have done better, and that's only going to help Todd and our engineers all week long. If they can, like I said, I spotted for Chandler Smith the last 2 years. He's going to have an uphill battle this week because not only is it his first time in the next gen car, it's his first time doing anything with Cup. So he's going to have to communicate the best he can. And Chandler, for the flack that he gets for getting out of the car and being mad sometimes, Chandler will give some of the most detailed information to our crew chiefs that I've ever heard. I mean, when we're at road courses, he would ask us under caution to walk me through this entire section, tell me every single thing that I'm doing right and wrong. And you want that out of any driver, but to have it out of a young driver is really good. So I'm hoping Jimmy's the same way when we get down to Daytona, and obviously it's less work than a road course, but if he can break down every single corner, every single way the car moves, it's only gonna make us better and make my job easier come Thursday night.
Man, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in some of those conversations. What we could learn from them. Oh my god.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, man. It's
Yeah.
cool just talking to Jesse right here.
Right?
You know,
Come on in
Hey,
anytime, Jesse.
make
Come
sure
on.
make sure you invite Jimmy to our next podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I don't know if we can afford that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Shit.
Colin, I guess if you want to elaborate on some of those good times you've had with Jesse and some of the really bad times you've had with Jesse, just in our our group chat that we're in, I can see the way that y'all interact, and it's pretty hilarious. So I can only imagine what the radio sounds like.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty chill. We don't really do much. I don't know. I've always been a person to like mess around on the radio, and one of our really good friends, who's since passed, Brad Campbell. I always try to mess around with him on the radio. Like I'd be making jokes, and he was so serious all the time. He's like, "Yeah, 10-4, bud." After I make a joke, I'm like, "You can laugh, like it's fine." But I feel like Jesse, he laughs a little bit more. And well, we have a good time. I try not to take anything too serious. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not that serious. That's what I always say. Like, whatever. Like, it is what it is. So, I try to have a good time when we're doing it.
I have seen the bad end of the deal with you.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go to Martinsville. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, there's those days, obviously, but when I'm just racing, it's fun. So, especially like late model racing, man. Like it's just you're having fun. It's not anything for national championship or anything, unless you're Peyton Sellers or Lane Riggs or something. But then we go Xfinity racing with Jesse, and we're having a good time. We'll be doing what we can, and at the end of the day, that's all you can do. So, we get to kind of mess around, but Jesse and I, we talk like every day. I feel like actually, when you're like since COVID actually started, actually probably before that, we started playing Call of Duty together, and it's been like every day since. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's all I got. I don't know what else to say.
You got me turning gears though. We need to start doing some more games on our servers and stuff, and have you guys join us in that too.
Yeah, for sure. I'm getting ready to play some Hogwarts Legacy tonight. So,
Jesse, what's the gateway story? I guess is the question, since Colin doesn't want to talk about it.
So
I forgot about that.
Colin was running K&N for Sam. This was probably 18. Okay, this was 18. So I was supposed to get there, I think Friday night, whatever it was. I was supposed to be there late, away from the rest of the teams. I was flying commercial out of Richmond, and I get to the airport to fly out to Gateway, and all the flights are grounded for storms. So I call Colin, I call Sam, I'm like, look, there's a flight that can get me into St. Louis at, an hour before practice starts. But that's the best I can do. And Sam doesn't show it, but he never gets worked up. He stresses out about everything, but he never really shows it. He's like, okay, that's cool. Just give me a call when you land. So I land in Gateway.
So annoying sometimes.
I land in St. Louis and had to catch an Uber to the racetrack. And this poor girl, I'm putting my radios on in the back of the Uber. And we get to the racetrack, and she's like, where do we go? I said, just keep following this road around. I made this poor Uber driver drive to the elevator or the stairs to the spotter stand on the backside of the racetrack Gateway. And she's like, how do I get out of here? I said, just follow the signs. And I just left. So I get up on the spotter
She's
stand.
still trying to get out of there.
Yeah. So I get up on the spotter stand as Colin's rolling on the track for practice, and Sam's up there, I guess, expecting me to be late. So I kind of tag myself in, and Colin just starts laughing because he hears a second voice on the radio and realizes it's me. Cutting. I mean, you talk about being there at the last second. I mean, you couldn't have been any later. And so I'm half out of breath, having an asthma attack on the roof, and as we're pulling out to roll to practice, Colin hits a orange cone about the size of a solo cup.
No, that's the next year. It's the next year. That
Was
was
it next year? Oh
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Okay, so the first year, sorry, so we go through practice, we go through everything. The race is fine up until turn 3 on the first lap. when
Oh God.
when a driver that's currently in the Truck Series decided that she wanted to pass a lot of cars in the middle of 3 and 4 on cold tires. And so one of the first times I spotted for Colin was him avoiding a huge wreck in 3 and 4 on the first lap.
I forgot
and
about that.
yeah, it was big. And then I think that night, or was it the next year, we went to the Arch and everybody's scooters got stolen by the kids at the.
No, it was that year. It was that year. But remember, like later on in the race when I was sitting there, and the car was so loose on entry, but with my brake bias adjuster wasn't labeled, so I was like yelling to the team. I was like, "Which way is the front brake?" And no one knew, and so I was just like flipping out the whole time because we were just wrecking under braking the entire time.
Everybody's
I
on
was-
channel 2, like trying to look at notes and remember stuff from the last week. And I think it was Connor and I can't remember if it was Panda or Brian Kozlowski. Everybody's on channel 2 just freaking out because we couldn't remember. And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm the only one that's talking to Colin like, "Well, we'll get it fixed, bud. We're gonna be okay." And meanwhile, he's
I'm
dirt tracking
wrecking
to the
right now.
corner.
Yeah, that's so bad. The next year, though, remember it was one of those sunrise cars down the backstretch that just grenade. Remember all the West Coast cars blew up because they had a different engine builder and they didn't go
Yeah.
to big tracks. So they went to a big track and they just grenade motors. We had like literally every West Coast car blew up that race except for like 2. And I just remember going down the backstretch. We were like 4 wide all side drafting down the straightaway, and all of a sudden the car on my inside just like grenades itself, and we just fly by it. I was like, oh god, and that was fun. But yeah, and then that happened like 4 more times that day. Like literally every McAnally car and Sunrise car I think blew up that day, and then
Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of cars to start with in that race, and then we just started blowing them up. So
yeah, and but that was the race that I got parked in practice for hitting a soccer cone. It was about 6 inches tall. That was what you started telling. So we had to come out of the pits and we had to do a 90-degree turn onto the racetrack from like a dead stop, and you're going 150 down the straightaway with like other cars.
we were there with IndyCar. We raced the same weekend as IndyCar, so they had the entire garage, the entire pit road. They put us in a field, like a meadow, in
Yeah, we
3
were
and
on like
4,
the road.
and gave us a golf cart road to get on the racetrack with. So we go to roll out for practice, and Colin's getting up through the gears, and NASCAR comes over my radio like, park the 18. So I go to the official. I'm like, what the hell did we do? I mean, he's like, not like he was speeding. Like, oh, he hit our cone.
My car was
Whoopty-you.
literally off. Like it was off because I was going out for a qualifying run. And they're like, "You hit a cone." I was like, "I never saw a cone. They're 6 inches tall. I can't see them when I'm sitting in a race car." Oh my god! It wasn't like it was a traffic cone. It was literally a soccer cone that's like tiny. It's like,
This
bro.
cone literally separated. So for the K&N cars, we had to go. If you look at a satellite image of Gateway,
Yeah.
you'll see this road on the backstretch, and it's not big. So they had this cone sitting in the middle of this little entry road, and to go on the racetrack, you had to make 2 90-degree lefts out in the middle of the backstretch, and to come in, you had to do the same thing. So you had guys downshifting from 120 while guys are trying to get through the corner with no power steering. I mean, it was just
It was so
cool
bad.
track, but it was not set up for success for us.
Hey, but guess what? That was the last K&N race I ever ran because of that. We were just done with that after that. I mean,
Yeah,
we were getting to the end. Like we were looking at running Xfinity. That was when Sandlot Racing, when we started the Xfinity program, and we were kind of shifting our focus towards that, and that just kind of sealed the deal. Like there's 2 races, New Hampshire and Dover left, and we were just like, you know what? No, we're not doing it. And that was the end of my K&N career. That was, because they parked us in practice for that. I was like, you know what? I'm done with it. So we went Xfinity racing.
Did they park you for the whole race, or was it
They
just like
parked us for the rest
practice.
of practice. It was like 45
Okay,
minutes left of
yeah.
practice.
Yeah, we were mocked up. We were gonna make a mock run. We were good. Like, and then we had to go out in qualifying with no practice on stickers or mocked up. So his first lap, like balls to the wall, was without any kind of practice, which
Yeah, it's
was
cool. I
incredibly
went down to the head official because he was standing down there, and I was like, "What was that?" And then he started getting mouthy with me, which is the wrong thing to do. and that just went poorly.
So
And
next time I came up pit road, I hit the head official.
basically,
They wouldn't notice
hey,
that.
I'm not gonna name any names or say anything. It's a good
Nah,
thing I
nah,
did
nah.
a Truck Series race at Sonoma this past year when my drug test didn't pass after the head official said it would. So, anyway, yeah. So
Yeah, that was a whole cluster there.
that dude, I flew out to Sonoma. So here's the whole story with that. That whole week just breaks my mind. So I'm in Michigan. We're
Yeah.
up there for a big shooting competition, and I get a call from Nate Blasdell, who's a driver agent, I guess, and he was like, "Hey man, this team needs a driver. You know, it's X amount of dollars, blah blah." I was like, "Oh, I'm not really interested. You know, it's not a great truck, blah blah." And he's like, "Okay, you know, I get it." And then you know, because I'm running road course full time at this point, so I don't need to go run NASCAR. Like I had no really want to do it. And then he calls me like, you know, 6 hours later. He's like, "Hey, this other team needs it." I was like, "Oh, you know, that's a good team, and you know, it's a good deal." So I was like, "All right, you know, I'll do that." And so I call NASCAR and I'm like, "Hey, is this possible? Because you know, it's Monday and the race is what, Saturday, and we had to be
Saturday.
there on Friday for practice." Yeah. So I drive, and the dudes are like, "Yeah, it's good. You know, getting your medical stuff done and all that, and you know, we'll push it through, and you'll be all good." So I leave Michigan and drive through the night and get to Mooresville and get all my. I get everything done. Everything. Did all my classes, my diversity classes, my gambling class, all like everything I had to do for NASCAR was done that day. And went by the shop. I had to first go by Sam's shop where all my stuff is, and go to the other shop, get all fitted in the truck. We got the wrap all sorted out. Like everything was just going along. And we fly out for the race. We get there and we get ready for practice, and my drug test still hasn't come in. We expected it by practice, and so we're sitting there, and it doesn't come, and we're asking the guy from NASCAR, and he was super cool with it. He's like, we're working on it, but it should be good. It should be good. I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. And ended up missing all practice, and I was like, all right, well, no big deal. I was just at Sonoma, 2 months before. It's not a huge deal, and I hadn't had any practice in a few years now anyway because of COVID, so it was nothing new. So the next day, he's like, "Oh, should be in before qualifying." So we got Josh Billicky to come fill in just in case, and Josh and I are over there on pit road before qualifying, both of us dressed up, not knowing who's getting in, and then qualifying comes around, he just gets in because there's nothing else to do, and he makes, I think, he don't think he only made like a lap or two, but it's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, they're working on it, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Okay, well, the next thing's the race, so I don't know what's gonna go on here," and stuff started getting a little sideways between me and the officials, obviously, because things were said they were going to be done and they weren't. And I was in California and I didn't have to be there. I kind of did it, as a favor. And NASCAR obviously was going to have a full field if we didn't run. And it just went back and forth. And then that official started getting mouthy with me, and that was basically the end of that. And we were sitting out there. He came in the hauler right before the race, and he was basically like, "You gonna get dressed?" I was like, "I've been dressed for every session," and that it just went sideways. So anyway, I went to pit road like he told me to, and
Smart
so
ass.
I'm standing there. We're standing there on pit road for pre-race ceremonies. Me and Josh Billicky standing side by side, both our driver's suits beside the truck, ready to go. Both of our helmets are on top of the truck because we were told like any second, and it never did. So I just walked back to the hauler and watched the race from the hauler, and then flew back. So
Ah, it sucks, man. Yeah.
yeah, that was not great. And when you have somebody who's the head of the series, basically lie to you. He told me all week, "Oh, no problem, we'll get it done, we'll push it through, whatever we need." And then it came down to it, and he's like, "Well, I never said that." I'm like, "Bro, don't start this right now." And yeah, so I don't
I'm
know
in
much
I'm
of
in
the
Virginia the
ins and
entire
outs of
time
the
getting play by play over the phone. Like
I was losing it. I was so livid. I was like, "Are you serious? I just wasted my entire week getting this shit together, and I'm just sitting in California in a hauler for 2 days. I didn't even have a NASCAR license at this point because my drug test hadn't passed. I was literally having to sneak into the garage area with the crew guys and walk everywhere in my fire suit so I could get anywhere. I just looked official in my fire suit so I could go wherever. And yeah, that was basically the whole weekend. It was super cool. Had a
Well,
great
then,
time. 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah.
then Josh Malicki gets collected pretty hard.
Oh yeah, yeah. Destroys the truck by no fault of his own, and my name is on it with my sponsors and everything. And everyone's texting me like, "Bro, you okay? You okay?" I'm like, "I wasn't driving it." So
Yeah. Man,
it
hey, I'm gonna tell you,
destroyed.
you kind of opened my mind a little bit. So, I'm 20 years Army retired, and I still work for the government. And there's all these classes I
I'm
have to
sorry.
do. Yeah, thank you. Uh, all these classes I have to do online all the time. You said you had to do classes before you could go race.
Yeah, yeah. So every year, and I think every year, I know we have to do all of our medical stuff every year. We have to get our brain stuff, our concussion test every 2 years, and then we have to do diversity classes. Is that every year, or every 2 years, Jesse? I think it's every two.
Your
And then
diversity is every year. Your gambling's every 2 years.
When they
okay, yeah, that's
diversity,
right, that's right.
that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And then they introduced, was it 2 summers ago, the what was that? It wasn't diversity. It wasn't gambling. It was another one.
It was like harassment or something.
Harassment. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
So
these are
yeah,
online classes or computer classes or
a
something,
lot
or
of them are over Zoom now. So like the gambling one is just a thing uh, through the major company or whatever that does all that stuff.
okay.
That's how diversity
Online.
is now. The diversity one this year is you watch some videos and answer some questions on your phone. It's
Oh
not going to
really? Oh,
be
that's cool.
anymore. Yeah.
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 So
So before it was like
Jesse,
an hour-long Zoom.
yeah, and Jesse, you have to do these classes too to be able to spot.
Yeah. So I have to submit a drug test every year, and then I have to take. I took gambling last year, so I didn't have to take it this year. But I had to take the diversity harassment training this year. So drug test, diversity harassment, and I had to send a certificate for my gambling from last year for it to carry over. But
Okay.
This sounds
anybody
like
that
the
wants
army.
anybody that wants a license, whether it's a hard card or a P, we call it a PEL. It's a per event license. Like my guys that are going to be doing the road courses with me, they're only going to do a handful of races. So there's no point in getting them a full license. It's too expensive.
Right.
So they'll have to do a per event license. So you're only paying for them while they're there, but they still have to do all the training and have a drug test on file and stuff. So
Cool, man. Not cool, but cool.
Well, I mean, you don't want them high out there driving around, spotting.
I mean, it'd be
Jeremy
probably a lot-
Mayfield.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen. Well,
Yeah, so that's how that goes. It's a thing to do all that stuff. So
God. See, I'd love to be in that world, though. I don't care. I'd do it all. I don't care.
well, do it, man.
Yeah.
Come
Call up
sports
Sam
car
Hunt Racing.
Yeah, you can come sports car racing with us this year. We're we got 7 weekends all throughout the country. So start off
Yeah.
in California this year, and then we'll go to New Orleans, and then Austin, and then VIR here in Virginia, which is like 15 minutes from the house, which is pretty dope. And then Road America, Sebring, Indy. So we're we're somewhere in the U.S. at some point. So
Going racing be a dream come true for me, I tell you. That's growing up. I've always loved racing. I always wanted to be by the cars, in the cars. I still have my first photograph back in the '80s. Yes, I'm old too.
Oh my God.
4 years old in my first late model, sitting there after a win, and it's like I still have that photo on my phone.
that's cool.
Never happening, but
Yeah, so like the cool thing about me being with Peyton Sellers and all that on the late model side of things, that was he was like the hometown hero growing up. Me growing up in South Boston, Danville area, and near South Boston Speedway, obviously. He was the man when I was growing up, and I guess he had talked to my dad's company about sponsorship in like 2006 or something like that, and my dad brought back a hero card where Peyton had signed it to me and was like, whatever, good luck and stuff like that. I don't know. It was before I was racing and stuff. I still have it somewhere, but this many years later, 15, 15 years, I guess, 15, 20 years later. You know, he and I are great friends. We text all the time, and it's super cool to be in that position. So
It's a hell of a community, man. Everybody
It
always tries
is.
to help each other out. You know, it's really a cool thing.
Well, you say that, but there's also some true shitbags in racing.
Well, that's everywhere.
Have you
Yeah,
met
that's
Ian? No,
that's
just
my
kidding.
quaint term is a shitbag.
Yeah, you like how I use that, Colin? That's pretty good,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. You'll ask me about somebody, I'll be like shitbag. So,
Well, before we wrap this up, I know it's getting kind of late. Thank you guys for coming again. Appreciate you guys. You guys are welcome anytime. You guys want to come hang out with us or whatever. It's great
Thanks
to
for
meet you
having us.
both. But coming this week with Daytona, I don't know if we're gonna get the top three in here. I know we were talking about doing that, but who's your guys' winner for the week besides Jesse? I'm sure he better say Jimmy Johnson. He better say it, or else
I'm going with Jimmy Johnson.
You're
I'm
going-
going with Jimmy Johnson.
so Kevin's a kiss ass. We got Jimmy.
Yeah. Nah, man. Brooke loved Jimmy. I was a Jeff Gordon fan, and Brooke was a Jimmy. My daughter Brooke was a Jimmy Johnson fan. You know, so and now I got a kind of personal little connection here, so I'm pulling for him. But I hope he does well.
I hope he does too. It's actually interesting seeing him come back. I didn't think he would. I like it.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't think
I
he would.
never had anything against Jimmy. If other people come back though, they can piss off.
Yeah, Richard Petty's done. I'm telling you.
I'm holding out. I'm holding out that he'll come back.
That's why you had to sell his stake in the team so he could come back as a driver.
Exactly.
There
See,
you
there you
go.
go.
There you go.
Or maybe he wants to go run 602 mods up in the Northeast.
I'm sure that's it.
No, trust me, I haven't gotten a check.
Yeah. Who you got for this weekend, Greg?
I don't know anymore. I'd say probably just give Chastain a shot early in the season.
Trying to take my guy.
Yeah.
I have to give it to Blaney. Blaney's been really good on the super speedways.
Okay.
Just hadn't been able to wrap it up. I think he needs to. So he's my pick. Ian?
It's gonna pain me to say this.
He's.
It really is.
It's gonna pain me to hear it.
Yeah, it probably will. I'm gonna go with Denny.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he seems to always run up front there. And if it's not him, it's probably gonna be one of his cars or one of his teammates.
Yeah, he's super strong at those tracks.
Yeah,
super
he's
strong.
good.
Wait. Can I change my answer? I
Yeah.
just thought about
Yeah.
something. I'm gonna say Kyle Busch.
Okay, so New Mission Motorsports is looking for a new person to fill in for Greg. Kyle,
Nah, Kyle Busch. That's a good pick.
you know
too.
what? I'd like to see him succeed where he is now. After
The
the year
three,
he's
the
had.
three's always fast there. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't say I was a Kyle Busch fan. But he's capable, and
That's not a
It's not a
that's
bad
not
pick.
a bad pick.
It's not a bad pick.
Who you got, Corey?
I'm going Blaney.
Oh, you said Blaney. I
I
forgot.
did, yeah.
All
It's okay.
All right, now let's for real ask Jesse who you got.
It's dirty.
Yes.
I'm gonna say, all right. So if I don't pick the cars that I'm spotting for, we'll do that because
Yep.
obviously, I'm gonna say for the 500.
Yeah.
Pause for a dramatic effect.
It's a
I'm
it's a crapshoot. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it's whoever lasts, right?
I mean, I think I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch. He's using Derek Nealon this year for his spotter. So Derek's a buddy of mine, but Derek's really good at plate races, and he's gonna have all the Chevy guys are gonna have more help this year than Kyle's had in the past with Toyota. They've been outnumbered, so I think he's gonna be able to be more methodical, picking his way through the field, and so I'm gonna pick Kyle Busch for 500 for the truck race. Ugh. I guess whoever's not upside down on the backstretch with 2 to go.
That's pretty much what's
Yeah.
going to come down to.
So
Just like our Daytona 500 this weekend.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Parker win it. Parker's Parker's pretty good at plate races. I'm gonna say Parker. And then for Xfinity, oof,
Are you spotting Xfinity at all this year, Jesse? I didn't.
not this week, not this week,
Okay.
but I'll do the road courses and stuff.
Okay.
For Xfinity, I'm gonna say Brandon Jones.
Oh.
It's not a bad pick. That's a good one.
Oh.
Kid's
New
good.
team. New team for
Brandon's
him.
he's not a bad driver.
No,
he
he's
just has
good.
the worst luck in the garage.
Or he just gets dumped by
Who's spotting for him, Jesse?
For
Do you know?
Brandon, actually, I was just looking at the rosters. Hang on.
See, that's one thing we didn't take into account is this guy's got some great inside information. And he knows the spotters personally.
All right.
And then, what number is he? He's number 9. No, they haven't released his. They haven't released the roster for them.
Gotcha.
I would imagine it might be Eddie DeHaan, maybe.
Gotcha. Yep.
Or
Mr. Jet Ski himself.
no, Eddie's spotting for Allgaier. I can't remember who spots for Brandon. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It might be Earl. It might actually be Earl because Earl was with Noah last year.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
Mm.
Colin, did you
Yeah,
talk
we
about
could-
what you're doing this year? Other than saying you drive cars fast, did you discuss what you're actually running in TC?
Oh God, Madam Secretary's at it again.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm running that super race next month for Fathead Racing. Returning to that race and that team after 2 years away. So we almost had it won a couple years ago and got destroyed by a current Truck Series driver, and that's cool. But yeah, looking forward to that. And then 2 weeks after that, I'll be in Sonoma for the first touring car race, which I'll be returning to that series after winning half the races last year and should have won the championship, but it is what it is. And then I'll be moving up to GT4 America and I'll have my co-driver be Johann Schwartz. So looking forward to hearing that. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll be running Pro-Am. Hopefully we'll stay in Pro-Am. We hopefully won't get moved up to Pro, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll have a good year, I feel like. I got 14 races times 2 technically since I'm running the touring car. Yeah, so it'd be good.
Those
When do y'all take possession of the new car? Have you heard any new updates?
Supposed to be within the next week, I would say. We're kind of at a standstill here. We heard, I think last week or the week before, it should be within the next 2 weeks. So I'd imagine here any day. We're just kind of, wait for the dealer to call us, basically. So we're supposed to go test in a few weeks down at CMP. So we shall see.
Well, anybody got anything else? It's a pretty good one here. I mean, we still got our ARC series. Those of you that are listening, don't forget to check us out, ARC on stream, New Mission server. We got pretty good community being built there. We're still racing. We got Ian that runs with us all the time, Greg, Kevin. Hopefully we can see more of Colin and Jesse with us. Appreciate you guys coming tonight.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
absolutely.
maybe wreck you in the truck race next week. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, hey, remember I didn't wreck you tonight. So
Well,
I could have. It was a lot of fun either way.
It's not my fault.
It's not.
Where is next week?
Atlanta, new Atlanta. Basically Daytona, right?
We'll see you then. Folks.